Adoption is taking in a child whose parents have terminated their rights via court, while foster care is giving short-term refuge to a child as if they were your own until they can be reunited with a more clean and loving family. Foster care can take on many different forms. There's emergency, which is typically short notice calls to experienced foster parents for a child who's in immediate harm, while respite is usually to give a birth parent a small break while they need to fix their home of potential risk to a child. This could be such as anything wrong with the home that's hazardous, as well as maybe financial difficulties. There's short-term fostering, which is trying to return the child home, except they need a certain amount of time to. It's like respite, except usually it's a bit longer. Respite's usually about 2 to 3 weeks. There's longer term, which is where the parents aren't going to be clean or available to take care of the child for the foreseeable future. And there's fee paid. Fee paid schemes they offer incentives via trust to foster parents, and this is typically for more troubled areas that still need foster parents. There's kinship, which is people related to you or connected via friendship or family in some way, and that's more comfortable for the child typically. There's private fostering, which is if you're under 16, you can go with a close relative for about 28 days. And this is to just the fastest reuniting with the biological parents. And then there's specialist schemes, and this is for kids that have maybe a troubled past or a history of trauma, who there's going to be extra financial incentive presented to the foster parents as they're going to need a bit more work and a bit more commitment than maybe with other children. There's children with disabilities, and some need foster cares with their birth parents, so it's kind of an interesting concept. But a birth parent, you might be ready to have a child, you might be prepared to have a child, but you don't have the training necessary to deal with a child with special needs, mental or physical. So the idea of these foster carers is that they would aid and give the parents a break so they can continue learning how to deal with it, so that hopefully they can deal with their child themselves and they're better suited to be a parent for that child. And then there's the GEN scheme, which helps young adults 18 to 21 with close bonds with their foster carers to aid in their young life, as many foster kids end up getting homelessness or other problems while they try to attend college and try to establish themselves as young adults. Now, how can you enter foster care as a carer? So, you're going to partner with social workers, schools, and communities to take care of an infant child or a young adult. So first, you have to be prepared for that. Secondly, you're going to want to call a child welfare information gateway or a foster care or adoption agency. After calling the agency, you're going to go through meetings, assessments and references, background checks, home safety checks to make sure your house isn't hazardous in any way, and orientation until you finally receive your licensure. And who's eligible to foster? Well, first of all, you have to be financially stable, flexible, understanding, patient, humorous, and they're going to find all these things out in the interviews. And you also have to have a hazard-free home, no criminal record, and CPR training in most states. However, certain requirements do vary state to state, so those are the most general. Some data on how kids ultimately exit foster care: 51% are going to be taken back in by the parent or primary guardian. 11% are going to be emancipated from foster care after having stayed in the system until they reach adulthood. And 20% are going to get adopted out. The rest are going to be taken out in some way involving guardianship or relatives. So the end goal of foster care is adoption. And what adoption looks like for the child is it can be difficult, but usually they're going to be adopted by their foster parents, or they're going to be adopted back by someone who's a relative of theirs. And I actually have an interview, which will start now. Okay, this is Eric Bates, and how old are you?
16.
He's 16, he goes to Woodstock Academy, and he's told me that he's comfortable answering all these questions. So we're just going to ask him. So you were adopted?
Yes.
Yes. So how old were you when you were adopted?
Age 7.
7. Okay. And was it hard to adjust?
Yeah. I mean, like, I missed my parents, but at the same time, like, I was happy to get out of all the chaos. So, yeah.
So what made it easier?
the other families that I went to were like quieter, like easy to adjust to, but like we kind of were just placed into like strangers' homes for a bit and then like placed around until we found the actual home we're at now. So
Okay. And you didn't? Did you contact your biological parents at all?
no, I haven't since I was like 10 years old. So
10. Now, what do you remember about being there?
um, a lot of fighting, drinking, yeah, just stuff like a kid really shouldn't be around.
So that's why you were removed. I'm
Yeah.
guessing. And do you remember working with social workers at all?
Yeah, around like age 10, they'd visit us at the home we were at, like now, just to see how things are going and stuff.
Okay. And do you still contact any of them?
No, I haven't in a long time.
So you're able to contact them when you're 18 again,
Yeah.
would you?
I'm not sure. I haven't really decided yet.
Alright. How would you say your experience was, negative or positive, with the system and everything, all its intricacies?
It was okay. I mean, they placed us in nice homes, but like, it would have been better if we met the person first before we were just placed there, because we had like no clue who they were. And it was kind of just weird.
So, like, how much are you varying from home to home? How many homes did you go to?
3
3.
before we met the one we're at now.
And how long were those?
Like a month or 2 each. So it was for like a little bit, and then we were moved, and a little bit, and moved.
What was it like the first few months of being with your current family?
It was nice because we have a nice neighborhood, lots of like people to hang around with. So yeah, I made friends pretty fast.
Alright. That's good. That's all the questions I'm going to ask. Thanks.
Thanks.
So, well, that was a very positive experience for Eric. Other dangers of foster care can occur, and children can be scarred. And it's important to realize that foster carers are necessary, but it's not the same as taking in just any kid, because the rates of child abuse amongst kids in foster care clearly are going to be much higher, and the result of child abuse deaths is always due to a primary guardian, which makes it very difficult for children who've been abused and survived to have some sort of trust and some sort of faith in those new carers. For example, child abuse deaths occur 41% of the time by mothers, 21% by fathers, 20% both, and less than 1% involve a non-relative or someone they are not have some sort of biological connection to. So it's really important to keep that in mind when dealing with children. But it's also important to realize that they're children. So the patience is necessary, the care is necessary, and hopefully every program for it can just continue to improve.